Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to restart the stream to make sure that my chat was on ultra low latency, because I've gotten complaints on my recent streams about whether or not the chat delay. So I just wanted to restart it really quickly. So let's talk about what we're doing here today. The reason that there haven't been a ton of Zelda videos lately is because I went through and I looked at everything that would need to be done to the series in order to make it so that it's 100% where I want it to be. And I made a list of everything I wanted to change, and there was about 30 or 40 things on that list. So if I were to continue with what I was doing, with making a video for every change, essentially, even a video for 2 changes, it'd be 15 or 20 videos of refactoring, which I think is unnecessary, so long as I cover the basics of how to refactor a project. I think it should be kind of okay. So what I've been doing in the background is rewriting it from the bottom. The Codemaster, hello. Kelly Sampson, hi. Jacob Cohen, hello. So I've been kind of going back to the beginning and refactoring the entire project so that then I can put that on my GitHub, which I'll do today. Hello, Music for the Fun. Which I'll do today, and then that way we can go forward from there. And if anybody wants to understand what changes I made, I'm going to go through and document everything. That's part of what I'm going to be doing today. So yeah, let's look. So I haven't implemented everything. So we're going to add this from my USB drive. Zelda project fixed. And let's take a look. All right. So like I said, there's a list of things that needed to be fixed before I felt like it was in a good enough state to move forward. And this makes most of those fixes. There's still a few things that aren't working like they should be, but I've learned a lot of lessons in the last year and change from creating this whole series, and I'm trying to apply all of those lessons to it so that it's generally in better shape. So we're going to wait for Unity to open this up. I'm probably not going to go... Yeah, hey there, Andre. As far as a turn-based system, I mean, when the Zelda series gets closer to being finished, I don't want to run 2 Unity series at a time. When the Zelda series gets closer to being finished, I will put up a poll and see what people want to see. And turn-based RPG is definitely going to be part of it. That's what they voted for Godot. So that's what the next Godot series is after the match 3 is finished. And then, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the Codemaster, I suck too much at scripting and can't learn. I honestly just got a book on Java programming from my library, and just worked my way through it. I went through chapter again and again and again until I understood what was going on. John Titor says, Unity is so slow starting, that's why I prefer Godot. There makes everything quick. Godot is definitely very, very quick to start a project. Godot has some quirks that people who are very familiar with Unity aren't going to like, but it has things, a lot of things in my opinion, that it does better than Unity. I think it's, between the two of them, I think Godot is easier for new people to learn. But it does have its own quirks, but I totally see where you're coming from, John. All right. Thank you very much, Andre. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear somebody can learn. Yeah, Jacob Cohen says he learned Java with YouTube, and then it's pretty easy to switch to C#. Yeah, the syntax of Java and C# are very, very similar. And the only reason I started with Java is because when I went to my library to get a book, they had a Java book and they didn't have a C# book. So I grabbed that, and I used a tool called BlueJ which is created by the University of Kent. And then when I was familiar with BlueJ, I moved on to Greenfoot, and I was able to find a textbook on Amazon for Greenfoot. How Much It Takes is the Codemaster. I spent a summer learning how to program in Java. The school that I taught at didn't have a programming curriculum, and I wanted to make one, so I took the summer and learned how to program in Java, and then when the fall started up, I made everybody aware of the fact that I was new to programming myself, and yeah, we just kind of worked through it as a class. So yeah, it takes a long time to be fluent. One of the things that I think is a big stumbling block for people who are new to programming is you have to be willing to be wrong like 10 times in a row before you can be right. Sometimes even more than 10. You have to be willing to accept failure as not the end of something, but rather a new way to like figuring out what won't work. Or at least what won't work the way you want it to. It's my opinion on that, is that you need to be a very persistent person. Persistent and relatively organized. If you're going to work alone, you don't have to be super organized, but relatively organized. The persistent is the most important part. In my opinion. Your mileage may vary. Alright, I've been working on this on my laptop, so I'm just now moving it to my PC, which is why this is taking so long, so feel free to ask any questions while we're waiting. Yeah, Jacob, like I said, persistence is... It's not just persistence, but it's persistence in the face of failure. You have to be willing to try something, have it not work the way you want it to, and not, like, immediately give up. In fact, not immediately give up even after 10 times. If the music is too loud, let me know. It's a completely different volume in my headphones than it is for you guys. And I have it set so that I don't hear my own voice in my headphones because I think it's weird, it freaks me out. So all I'm hearing is the music, and if the music's louder than I am, let me know. Roller204 says it's good. Alright then. I'll take your word for it, dude. Jacob Cohen says, yeah, sometimes it still takes me 10 to 20 tries and 10 Google searches. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what it is. You have to be willing to like work stuff out and then try it a bunch of times. Mr. Auditor says Java's kind of hard for game development. Yeah, it is. To my knowledge anyway, there isn't a very good engine that runs just on JavaScript. There's like Cocos 2DX, but that even is a little complex for newcomers. Greenfoot I really liked, but it's I think it's more difficult to use than Unity. Mr. Auditor says Godot is so easy. Yeah, Godot I think is really good for beginners, and it's a professional engine, so it's not just good for beginners; it's good for everybody. Codemaster says I am learning Lua, and then I will move to C#. Lua is good. If you learn Lua, I think Python would be easier to move on to next, but I mean, it wouldn't be that much more difficult to move to C#. The syntax is a little different, but not too much, not too bad. Okay, so why don't I start telling you guys about the changes that we've made. Roller204 says, currently I'm trying to work with the UMMORPG 2D asset. There's not nearly as many tutorials for it as the 3D version, though. Yeah, I've seen that asset in the asset store. It pops up every once in a while when Unity does their big sales or they do a big push for it. I have no experience with it, and I personally have no desire to try to make a MMORPG type game. mainly because I don't like working with network stuff. I hate network stuff. Are you planning to release more Match 3 videos? Mr. Auditor, are you asking for Unity, Godot, or GameMaker Studio 2? What's the timetable for your Godot Udemy course? I'm not planning on making a course for Godot in Udemy. I was planning on making a Udemy course for Zelda with Unity. And the timetable for that is, if I have it finished by Thanksgiving, I'll be happy. Mr. Auditor says Godot, absolutely. I meant for a Godot refactoring video to come out yesterday, but then we had a giant hailstorm here, and so I spent a lot of yesterday raking up tree branches. VLTNT says, my time trying to code a game, 30% actually coding, 50% trying to figure out what more code is wrong, and 20% waiting for Unity to load. Yeah, that sounds about right, man. You should try making Pokemon. Something like Pokemon, like the amount of assets involved in that is crazy. The Codemaster, yeah, opened after 10 minutes. It's because it's the first time I'm opening it on here. Okay, so let's talk about the differences. So first and foremost, I went back to the beginning and I restructured my rooms. I'm using super tiled to Unity because I really like using tiled to build stuff. Let's see, let's make sure it's gonna work. And from the beginning now, this uses the Cinemachine camera. It needs to pack the sprite atlases, of course. I mean, the basics behind Pokemon is actually, it's not as bad as other RPG systems because I think they only use like 6 stats. And then the fact that each character only is allowed to have 4 moves kind of makes it easier to deal with too. Okay, so it's working on here. That's good. All right, so starting from the bottom here. The Godot live streams are in preparation for a Godot course on YouTube, though. Joshua NS asks, I thought your Godot live streams were in preparation for a Godot course. Those are in preparation for the next YouTube course. Roller 204 says, not to mention legal issues. Yeah, I mean, there's a pardon me, on opengameart.org, there's a Tuxamon tile set in Monsters that somebody was making that are supposed to be inspired by Pokemon. Codemaster says, I don't know why some people hate Unity. I mean, it's not the best engine, but it's the game itself that needs to be rated. Many people build random games on Unity because it's free. You're absolutely right, the Codemaster. The fact that Unity is free and the free version forces you to have the Made with Unity thing in front of it means that people only see the Made with Unity sticker on games that are generally made by amateurs. Okay, so from the beginning here, I used tiled and then I used super tiled to Unity, which is amazing. I don't know why I didn't think about using it before, but the way that super tiled to Unity works is I just have a super tiled Unity folder. I have a tiled map folder inside that, and then these are just prefabs that I can just drag into my scene. And not only are they prefabs, but they're prefabs that use Unity's built-in tile map system. So these are actual tile map objects. So I think that's, I like this system a lot more than using the Unity tile map, and that allows me to, let me delete this. When I have my rooms, part of the room now is the tile map, and so like each room here is its own self-contained thing. So I think it's just generally better laid out. Okay, so that was the first change I made, is I put it in tiled to Unity. The second change I made is in the way that the player is set up. So I started doing this with the Zelda videos. I started refactoring everything so that the player was more spread out amongst different objects and scripts so that everything wasn't in one script. I have one of my custom scripts on the player itself, and that's to reset it to the player position when you move between rooms. But the main player has the sprite renderer, the rigid body, the box collider, and the animator. The hurt box is its own component, where the trigger box collider is, and then I've got the player health script there. The hitboxes each have their own components, which all have damage on contact and knockback. The animator has an animator controller script. This is what's actually controlling the animation. The state machine has its own place. Context clue has its own place. Movement has its own place. And so the player's movement in his sphere. I really should call this controller because this is more of a player controller than it is player movement. Roller 204 says MMORPG uses the same Zelda-like assets. I can't figure out how to change the characters on my own though. So what they're probably using is the way that they have it set up in MMORPG, I'm guessing, is that rather than having the player object in the scene, they instead have like a player position object. And then when you start the game, it looks for whatever the current player is and then instantiates that in that position. Joshua Ennis says, is everybody's screen blurry? I don't know. The Codemaster says just you. So if anybody else has a blurry screen, let me know. When I set it to ultra low latency, it said that it capped it at 1440 instead of 1920. Can you make room changing like Stardew Valley? Stardew Valley does it pretty much the same way Zelda does, doesn't it? Where you... Let's let this play so that like you go up. I know Stardew Valley is a bit more zoomed out than this is, but it has that kind of room switching, doesn't it? Okay, Joshua says it's better now. I am in 1080p. Yeah. So Lieutenant Whitman, let me know if I'm wrong about what kind of room changing Stardew Valley has. I also made it so that the area text is no longer hard coded to the UI. Instead, when you transfer, there's a signal system that sets up that area text, and so each room, I haven't actually gone through this, but so like this can be the village, and I made a string value that way you're not having to pass an argument through with the signal. I call signals notifications now because signals are a reserved keyword in Unity 2019.2. So let's see, that's the village. We'll call this the pond. And then we'll call this the meadow. And then that makes this the cave entrance. So, and you can have your rooms, since I'm using Cinemachine, I know I've talked about this before, but your rooms can be any size you want them to be, or any shape. They don't have to be like this. They could even be, like they don't have to be rectangular or, see that kind of, the cave entrance. Like that, I think that's kind of cool. Let's see. So let's talk about the way I changed the signal system. So now I'm calling it notifications. And in my scripts, my scriptable objects, I've got Boolean values, float values, notifications and notification listeners. I also have sprite values. That's how I'm passing information between the treasure chest and the player when the player opens up a chest. So like if we go to this one, so I also added better art than mine for this. It's old, but it's still razor sharp. And then like if I go over here, I've got a key object that's pretty much the same. So into the meadow, and then there's an enemy down there you're going to stay out of range of. So the treasure chests in general I think just work better. So now that I have the key, I haven't re-added animation to that little duder yet. Oh, here's one thing too that was wrong about the old version. So I'm going to let this little duder catch up with me. I'll look at chat in just a second. Let this little duder catch up. So now when I leave the room, oh, I guess I didn't leave entirely. He resets to his home position, and he also resets his health. Now that I've got the key, I haven't finished working on the dungeons yet. That's coming. I don't know. I put kind of a ton of work into remaking this, and I think it works better. I also put the interactions on a different input from the sword swipes. So instead of having to swipe your sword to interact with the door, it's left shift. Oh, I guess I don't have the key. Oh, it's because I didn't finish setting up the camera for the dungeon yet. Okay. Okay, so looking at chat here really quickly. But if I enter a house, that room changing isn't going to be suitable. I guess I don't know. I guess it's been a long time since I played Stardew Valley. I'm not certain how it looks when you enter a house in there. Yes, Joshua Ennis, you're right. The orthographic size, and I think I explained this in a video, but just to kind of go over it again. The orthographic size of a camera is how many Unity units from the center to the top. So currently, I have all of my cameras set to have an orthographic size of, I think, 4.5. And the reason I chose that, let's turn this on so that you can actually see it. Yep. So the reason I chose 4.5 as the orthographic size is because this is made with a 16:9 aspect ratio. So if I make the orthographic size a multiple of 9, it's going to work best. So, or not a multiple of 9, but a factor of 9. So I could do 3, 4.5. I could do 6, since it's not a factor of 9, but it has factors in common with 9. And that would probably be okay too. But if your room here, let's say your room is only, I don't know, 8 high, you can't use an orthographic size of 4.5 because it won't constrain it properly, because the orthographic size kind of overrides that camera constrainer, if that makes any sense. Okay, the Codemaster says, oh wait, sorry. Yeah, I haven't, Jacob Cohen says that there's a transition. I haven't added that back in yet. That's in the regular Unity tutorial. I haven't added there was a fade to white effect and then a fade from white effect, just to kind of mask the loading so it didn't look so jarring. The Codemaster, I can change the text font pretty easily here. If I go to, oh, this is another thing I did, the UI. So I used to have everything kind of on the same canvas, but now everything has its own canvas. The player UI has a canvas. Place name canvas is its own thing. So like, I just use that text, but I put a couple other different suitable fonts in here as well that you could use. So like we could use Candy Pixel instead of BitScript, and then on the dialog canvas, let's use Candy Pixel as well, just so you guys can see what that would look like. Random Master, I'm absolutely going to share the project. I'm going to put it on my GitHub today. So like there's different text, and you can see that's just a matter of changing the font asset. Codemaster says, why not make the dungeon water a bit darker? I didn't make the assets, that's why. VLTNT, I haven't gotten back to re-adding the minimap, the coin display, or the inventory. I'm still working on getting everything added back in. So probably like another couple days, and I'll have it all where it should be. Okay, I'm just... Eximulus says, okay, I'm just finding way to do the rooms you use and find this stream. I'm a beginner, so how do I do that? So I go through everything that I've done so far in a less elegant way in the actual tutorial. Random Master, I'll put it on GitHub. You can use the scripts. I mean room to use for doing epic change. I don't know what you mean by epic change. Codemaster says that font is way better. Sure. Random Master, you can look at the scripts. Totally fine. Joshua NS asks, has school started for me yet? No, 2 weeks from now. The first day of school for the kids is the 28th of August at my school district. Okay, so let's see here. What else have I done? Oh, okay, so this is something too. If I go to the scenes, let's go to the game menu, save the changes. And that's very soon, Jacob. Jacob Cohen says his school starts on the 20th. Grandmaster, the only way that you can make your logic better is by just continuing to work at it, man. Like we were saying earlier, you got to be willing to be wrong 20 times in a row before you can be right. Okay, so I changed the layout of this a little bit. This is the intro screen. So there's play and quit, and there's a little credits button here. That way I can have the art have its own credits. Here. There we go. Legally not Zelda, yep. And so credits back. And then if you hit play, it takes you to your... And again, I haven't put the cutscenes back in, but once I look at cutscenes, then I'll cover how to do the cutscenes caused by a trigger. Like some people had asked me to. Oh yeah, this is a Patreon thing that I did as well, but I added it to this project, that transparency effect. I covered that in my Patreon tutorials. And it would be very, very simple to add a little animator on that area text to make it fade in and fade out so it's not so abrupt. But I haven't done that yet. Name the Tales of the Unknown Valley. Sure, you can change your name to that. Random Master asks, how long until to study this C# until master? 10,000 hours. Isn't that what Malcolm Gladwell says? 10,000 hours. I'm in. Lieutenant Whitman says I'm in university, but I'm in summer break. Gonna try to learn how to make an RPG game. Great, go for it, man. Jacob Cohen says he likes that font better. Great. I can't wait to do all the changes you made. Yep, I'll put them up, like I said. Smoother than it was. Colby, it depends on how far you got into the tutorial. About part 48 and 50, I put in Cinemachine, which makes the camera movement ridiculously smoother. Jacob says never to master C#. Is it possible to be master? It's possible, but 10,000 hours, isn't that what Malcolm Gladwell says? Yeah, Cinemachine is really nice. I also, so yeah, you're right. I also played around with the camera parameters. So whenever you move, so long as the camera can, it tries to stay ahead of the player so that there's not going to be, like, so the player isn't here and then something could come into frame. As much as it can, it tries to stay ahead of the player. And that was just playing with the parameters. So like on, let's pause this for a second so we can look at the actual Cinemachine parameters. I put my look ahead time relatively high. I put my smoothing relatively high for that as well. The look ahead time, what that does is it's this little yellow box. Unity's trying to make a guess about where you're going. So think of it like a camera boom. And then it tries to center on that little yellow box instead of trying to center on you. The blue area is smooth movement, and the red area is fast movement. The area that isn't blue or red is an area that you would get to walk around in without having the camera try to move, so that it's not moving all the time. Okay. Lieutenant Whitman says Vietnam is my city. Okay. I mean, sure. Colby says, are you going to post this video to YouTube? I didn't answer that already, but yeah, my streams are automatically archived. To add video in Unity 2D, you need to use something called a render texture, and then set that render texture to come from a video file. I forget which kind of video files Unity is compatible with, but you can make a cutscene that way and just make like a render texture. Let's add some features back here while we're doing this, because like I said, I'm not going to be here until noon today. Heritonson, man, I feel bad about never knowing how to pronounce your name. Heritonson. Hello, how are you? Spyros asks, what's the Discord channel? Let me get a link to it. I haven't answered any questions on Discord in a couple days, so I'm sure I'm gonna have like a million notifications. I've been dealing with hail stuff. Jacob Cohen says, I made my dead zone the same width and height, so it's a square. When I didn't do that, it looked faster walking vertical than horizontal. That would be the look ahead time, I'm assuming. Heraton, sun. Okay. Yeah, see, I got all kinds of notifications. Mr. Taft, invite people. I have a permanent Discord link somewhere. I know I do. Oh, let's chat there for a second. I know I have a permanent Discord link because it's in my Google Docs. So I have this little video info thing where I keep all my links and stuff on. So yeah, here's my Discord link. Let me drop this in chat or in the description. Oh, there we go. I can't edit this. There. So there's a Discord link. Cool. Alright, so what would be quick to put in? Oh yeah, and the physics work way better than they did between the player and the enemies. I haven't put all the enemies back in yet, so it's kind of it's a work in progress. I haven't had as much time to work on it as I hoped I would. I also made the flash. Let me make sure, because I don't have the player health system working perfectly yet. So let me actually look at my player health really quickly. Yeah. I also made the flash its own object, so that way the enemy can flash too. Oh. I got that little death effect too. I guess I didn't put the flash on the enemy yet, so let's look at that enemy. Simple follow log. So we got simple follow script, and that simple follow can be put on anything. That way you can have a I don't know, a buddy or whatever that can follow you in a really simple manner. Let's add our flash color to this. Sprite render comes from the log. Flash color is red. Number of flashes we'll say is 3, and flash delay is 0.1 seconds. So just having that on its own component is just so much better. And the pots work better. I fixed those. You could very easily take the pot logic and turn it into grass logic, so you can cut down grass. But let's just show you. Oh, look at that. He wasn't flashing. Oh, it's because it needs to be connected to the health. That's why. Yeah, I'm not going to do that today, but I'll do that sometime. Music for the fun. I've tried not to schedule too far in advance right now, just because, I don't know, I've been so busy with getting ready for school, and then, sorry, lost my train of thought. I've been busy with the getting ready for school, and then, like I said, we had this hailstorm that, there's an insurance adjuster coming soon to talk about my roof. So yeah, I will try to get a schedule up, but I do have a general schedule I can show you, sure. So calendar.google.com. I'll grab a link to that as well. So see, I'm already way behind on my calendar. I didn't even move this stream. Stop that. I didn't even move this stream to the correct day. It's on Wednesday. I'm streaming again tomorrow at Godot. Explaining the Zelda revisions, I'll put that here. This Game Maker Studio video is going to have to come I don't know. Who knows? So anyway, let me go to my settings really quickly and grab that link for the calendar. streaming a video, get shareable link, copy, let's post this in the description. Well, I mean, it's not just school, like, I don't know, so much stuff came up that I wasn't expecting to. I really wanted to be way farther on this. So, okay, so there we go. So, okay. Jacob Cohen asks about enemies that jump out from grass or bushes. So what you could do, and this is one of those things where I'm never going to be able to cover everything that somebody would like to see in a game like this. You guys are going to be way more creative than I am. You're going to come up with way more interesting and original ideas than I will. So I'm never going to be able to cover absolutely everything that you like to do. But in that situation, what you could do is you could make a trigger zone with a box collider 2D, set it to a trigger, and have it be like here. And then when the player enters that trigger zone, you could instantiate an enemy, like say right there, and then that way the enemy could follow the player. So you could create that by breaking it down into bits and pieces. So the first piece is you need to be able to detect when the player is in an area. So you'd use a trigger for that. So you'd make an object, give it a trigger collider, and then set its bounds. All right, cool. Now from that trigger, you'd need to have an enemy position. So you'd make a little spot for a position, or at least note where you want the enemy to be. You need to have an enemy. So you need to make your enemy or reuse a previous enemy, like you could use this one. And you'd need to have a script on your little area thing here that detects when the player enters. And there's a lot of scripts in here where I do that. And then when the player enters, you'd instantiate that enemy in that position. Okay, so Colby says, thank you so much for sticking with the project. I haven't seen any tutorials that stay focused on the project for this long. That's probably too long. I've probably done too much with it. I probably should have covered the basics and then just moved on to something else, but thank you. I appreciate that. Music for the fun says, okay, thanks, no problem. Jacob, sounds easy. I think you're being sarcastic, but that's like the way that you would do it, is you break it down into pieces. So first piece, you need to detect the player. Second piece, we need an enemy. We need a place for the enemy to be created. When the player enters the box, create the enemy. So, Kelly, thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying the project. Like I said, the reason I did all these refactors on my own is because there was a list of, it was like 30 or 40 things. And if I was going to do even 2 a video, first of all, it would take me forever to do that many videos. 2, even if I were doing them in like the conversational style, I do some of them where I don't have notes. It would take me forever. There'd be a lot of long pauses. People don't like it when there are those long pauses. So I decided just to go ahead, and then we'll start the ability system on, I think I have it on my schedule for Friday, and I think I'll be able to keep to that one. Let's go back to the schedule here really fast. Yeah, I'll be able to keep that. So on Friday we'll do an overview, and then on Saturday we'll do the first ability, which will be a dash ability. And I've covered the dash ability a couple times in live streams, so it should be pretty easy. Game Maker Studio 2, Match 3, I still have stuff to do. And I have notes on all of this, like I have all of it planned out. I just need to record it and then edit it, which takes way longer than you think it does. I'm actually going to count this as my explaining the Zelda revisions, but alright, so let's do, because I'm going to forget if I don't do this right now. Let's go to my GitHub folder. Let's make a new folder. I'm going to call this Zelda Project Revision. And then inside here, we will put, I think I need to quit from Unity really quickly while I do this. One of the things I think is ridiculous about Unity, and I don't think I've ever mentioned this, is the fact that the dark theme is behind a paywall. Like, that's just, it's one of the only things that Unity still has behind a paywall, is the dark theme. It's crazy. But they're changing that in 2019.3. They're adding themes, so. Okay, so we're gonna upload this to my Yeah, Jacob, I totally agree. Everything is better with a dark theme. I don't understand why, like, I don't know. Everything should have a dark theme, in my opinion. I get a lot of eye strain, and so, like, even this, I'm surprised I haven't changed my... But I changed my YouTube theme, because I use YouTube all the time. I haven't changed my calendar theme yet. But it's one of the things I like about Godot, is you can 100% customize that theme from the beginning. That's why I'm hyped for iOS 13. Yeah, it's a good reason to be hyped. Spyros says, the only thing I'd pay for is a dark theme. Yeah, I have a Mac laptop, and I really like having a dark theme on it. You don't have to watch my live streams to understand what's going on. What I'm going to do, I haven't done a very good job of it so far, is I'm going to go through and comment all the scripts so that you should be able to understand what things do what and how to use it. And yeah, so you won't need to watch the live stream. And the live streams usually are me experimenting with stuff. Like I did a live stream where somebody asked me to rough out a farming system, and so I did that in one live stream. And I did another one where somebody... Well, I've done a few that were game dev, which I haven't had time to do lately. And then I did a few that were just answering questions. Alright, so... We want to add... I'm not very good at using GitHub. Nowhere near as good as I should be. Oh yeah, I have some videos coming out on GD Quest starting in the next week or two here. So if any of you like my Godot stuff, there'll be some Godot stuff on GD Quest. Oh, I don't want it to clone. Good lord. I thought I made a repository by actually doing this first, though. Love Bite says, how long have I been doing game dev? I think it's 5 years now. I think it was 5 years ago that I started teaching programming. I took a class in college in Visual Basic, and then nothing again for 14 years. Jjo, hello, how are you? Nothing again for 14 years, and then started learning Java to teach a class in it, and yeah. Oh, that's what it is, it's add local repository. Good lord, Mr. Taft. Okay. Alright, so this is gonna be... No, YouTube is not my full-time job. YouTube is a hobby. Revising... Oops. Okay. Revising Zelda project. And then this is gonna be revised to, what's today, 8-14. And then let's commit that to the master, and then we'll push this to origin. Okay. Awesome, thanks. Yeah, and there's always going to be stuff to learn. I feel like I don't know that much, honestly. What little I do know, I'm willing to share, but I feel like I don't know that much. Nathan Virgo says, hello, Joe. Hello. Jacob Cohen, I've been coding for about 7 years, but game dev only for a couple. Ricky Byrne asks, is YouTube my full-time job? Absolutely not. I am a teacher. I teach high school math and computer science. For the ability system, will you continue your tutorial with the project you had in the last video with the version you have there? You're not asking too many questions. No, for the ability system, I'm going to continue from here. Okay, so let's just publish this repository then. I'm real bad at Git. Okay, did that publish? Okay, Jojo says, I'm 17 doing BTech CSE. Tell me how to become a game dev. It's the best time for me to start. So the way you would start becoming a game dev is just start developing games. I mean, I know that sounds really dumb, but the way that I would suggest you do it is there's a lot of tutorials out there about how to... sorry, I just want to check. I don't want this to be private. Sorry, lost my train of thought there. Is to start doing things. Follow some tutorials, learn how to get stuff to happen inside of a game engine. Play around with a couple if you haven't played around with one before and see which one you like using, and then use that one. Build yourself like a recipe book. How do I make something move? How do I make something move with a keyboard? How do I, you know, just keep going. Love Bites, you're welcome. Joshua NS asks, for Godot bound, you plan on doing turn-based? Yeah, I'm trying to do it relatively close to the way that Earthbound is set up. Earthbound has some kind of unique things, but for the most part it's pretty simple as far as the turn-based battle system goes. So, yeah. Even doubt force push. Thank you, Spyros. JJo says, I've made tic-tac-toe and many small games with Java, which I learned in high school. In first semester now I have C language. Joshua Ennis says, have you looked at GD Quest Open RPG project? Yeah, the Open RPG project that GD Quest is making is pretty great. There's some things I would do differently, but I think it's great. He does a really good job, Nathan, the guy mainly behind GD Quest. He does a really good job in making sure that things are organized correctly, and he has like these really nice, easy to follow conventions that he has everything on his GitHub follow, which I think is great. GitHub. So I want to branch. Alright, I don't want this to be private though. Why is this private? Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm really bad at GitHub, guys. Apologies. So I'm gonna get rid of this. And then we're gonna try this whole GitHub thing again. Philippe Deniz says, hello everyone. Hello Philippe, how are you? Is it Philippe or Felipe? Jacob Cohen says, it's okay, you aren't alone. Spyro says, I've just started learning Unity and I've been looking for a community to join. I'm off to the gym, but I look forward to speaking with you guys. Have a nice day. Yeah, I have a Discord link too. You can check out. The community in my Discord is pretty awesome. Lots of people way smarter than I am. Okay, so let's choose here. Okay. No local changes. All right, so now let's put this there. Shark Dude says, hey, I just joined the stream. Hello, how are you? He says, you've taught me so much. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. So Philippe, yes, for the most part, this is going to address the refactor. The reason why is there was 30 or 40 things that I wanted to refactor, and even if I did 2 a video, that's is a quarter as many videos as I've already made. So I just kind of wanted to go forward. JJo says, I aspire to work on big companies such as Rockstar, Ubisoft, not EA though. No one ever tells me how to. Please tell how should I work in these formative years to be capable of achieving this. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. So yeah, like I said, just keep working, build yourself a portfolio, get an itch.io site, and start adding your projects to it. Be public. Put yourself on Twitter. Have people play your projects as soon as you possibly can, and as often as you possibly can. Take feedback. Be willing to accept that feedback. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do now to get used to it. If you're going to be working in a large system like that, let's just remove this. If you're going to be working in a large place like Rockstar or wherever, Ubisoft, you're going to have to be used to working in a team, and that's something that you can work on by creating like I said, an itch.io page and putting everything that you make on there. Go on Twitter. On Twitter you can have people check out your projects and everything. Just, you know, be out there. I guess that's my advice. Okay, so Shark Dude says, can you do a video on Dubar? I don't know what you mean by Dubar. Music for fun. For the rest of this tutorial, do you think it's better to download your version of the project? I think it's music for the fun. I think it would be fine to try either way. Jacob Cohen says, I've never published a game and I just feel like none of mine are good. It doesn't matter if they're good. Getting them out there. Nobody's going to, if you do eventually make a game that you think is good, nobody's going to judge that game based on something you made before that was bad. You just go through the process so you know what it is and you know how to do it. That would be my advice. So, desktop. Where did I just put that? There it is. Let's copy you. Let's go back to documents, GitHub. All right. Oh, okay. XP bar is what he's saying. So Shark Dude, that might be a way to extend it later on. Yeah, a lot of people have asked about leveling system and experience, so I'll think about it. JoJo says I'm more than willing to. That's awesome. Slimin Tuts or Sleeman Tuts. Sorry if it's one way or the other or neither of those. Hey, I'm started doing game making on my own, and your channel's helping me a lot. Please continue with the awesome work. Glad to hear it. JoJo says, do I need to know art and game design, as I have to work alone because my friend's busy watching Game of Thrones? You don't have to know art or game design. Typically, if you work at a big company like that, you'll fill one of 3 roles: design, programming, or art, or a hybrid role. Like there are technical artists and there are technical designers, and there's artistic designers. But typically, so long as you can do one of those 3 things, you'll be fine. Eric Ty says, good morning, good morning. Cyberpunk Computing says, how's your Zelda tutorial going? That's what we're talking about here today. Music for the Fun says, I asked the last question in order to get all the changes you made since your last video, and you showed this live. Yeah, so I'm going to make it so that the ability system could be added to this, to your old version of the project, and it would be fine. That's my plan, so that you could do either way. Codemaster says, best part of scripting is when you get something wrong 3 times and actually manage to solve it. Yep, 3 times or 20 times or however many times you have to get it wrong. This too large, you can show anyways. Show this, okay. Come on now. All right, I'm gonna have to deal with this later. I have to go meet an insurance adjuster. So let's see, last few questions here. Shark Dude says it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the video, but what do I do if my knockback system knocks the player back? Oh, so that's one of the things that I've been addressing in this change, is I changed the way that knockback works. And I do cover that in the refactor videos though. So there's a video in there where I recover how to do knockback. JJ says, but when I'm alone as right now, what should I do for level designs, character designs, because I'm bad at drawing? There's a lot of free assets out there. If you go to itch.io, you can go to the game assets, and then there's a ton of free assets there that you can use. You can go to opengameart.org. There's a ton of assets there, or you can go to the made man Kenny's website, kenny.nl. He has something like 20,000 assets. Just use those. Those are fine. Codemasters, it will not. I have to leave pretty soon here because I got to take a shower and meet the insurance adjuster. Itch.io, yep. If you just go... There we go. So itch.io, you got, they even have tools and stuff. People will put Unity scripts up here. If you go to game assets, you can look at new and popular, and some of them have prices with them, but some of them are free. So like these 2D platformer characters are free. This Megabot demo made by, I never know how to say this guy's names, Ansamuse for Godot is free. There's a lot of free assets on here, and you can even sort them so that you're looking at them. I think you can look at only the free ones or something like that. But yeah. Okay, so Jacob Cohen, I'm using Tiny RPG Forest. Yeah, and that's that Ansamuse guy. He's got a few of them. He's got Tiny RPG Forest. He has a paid version. He has Legend of Fawn, which is another Zelda LIke. He's got all these platformer ones, he's got all these Metroidvania ones, and some of them are paid, or you have to be part of his Patreon, but a lot of them are free, and they look great. So, I have a slime jumping animation, how to make the slime jump, changing the velocity on the y-axis, so like if you push Y, you would add something to the y-axis velocity. Jjo says, thanks, much love. Okay, have a great day, Jjo. Okay, so last few questions here, guys. I'm going to end the stream in just a minute or two. I know it's way earlier than I usually do. Cyberpunk computing, absolutely. Make sure that you're being a good steward of copyright. Just because something is free or on the internet doesn't mean that you shouldn't pay attention to the license that you have to use it. You don't have to donate. You can, like, there's Ansamuse, and then there's like Kenny.nl. He even has 3D assets. Like, he recently came out with this Fantasy Town kit, which is really cool, but like, he's got this RPG Urban Pack, which would be great for doing like an Earthbound game. Here's a quick sample of it, and this is CC0. And his specific license says written permission isn't required, but you can support us by giving credit. My students have played my games before, Jjo, yes. Okay, last few questions here, guys, and then I'm gonna head out. Okay, I'll come back and get the GitHub actually working, and I'll put a link to it in the description to this video. Okay, well, thanks very much, guys. I know this was a pretty short stream, only like 45 minutes, but yeah, everybody have a good day. Yes, love from India. Thank you very much. Yes, it's mostly morning here. It's 11 a.m. Jacob, you have a good day too. Cyberpunk Computing, have a good day too. Shark Dude, I'll get the GitHub up and I'll put a link to it in the description to this video once I have it up. Eric Ty says, have a good day. Bye, y'all. All right, cool. Everybody have a great day. I'm bad at ending streams, so I'm just going to say goodbye. Yeah.